1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Almost the weekend and you don't know what to do. Or you just need something fun to listen to. Southside Pod! Yes, we're on the air. And with gangs all here, all things on the South Side. Thanks for tuning in to the Southside Pod.
This morning, my wife is laying next to me in bed.
That's a good start.
She knows that I have to get up early in the morning and take my son Dominic to hockey.
Yes, okay.
The night before, she goes, you got to get up to Oak Park. He's got to be there by 9 o'clock.
Way up north.
And I look at my phone, I go,
Madison.
that's a 30-some minute drive. I can get there in 30-some minutes, especially on a Saturday morning. I actually went through the city when I went up there. I went over to the Ryan, took the Ryan down to the Circle, and then came down through 90. Rather than go through the suburbs, it was quicker.
Sure.
So I've got it all planned out, and she goes, "What? Are you need me to set an alarm for you?" I'm like, "No, I got an alarm on my phone too. We have the same phones. I can set an alarm. I'm not like this is the new thing now. I'm
trying to help you out.
I'm going to be 44 years old, and she's raising me like another child.
Stop looking at it as like she thinks I'm helpless, and more of this is my wife just taking care of me. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that she thinks I'm an idiot.
I mean, probably.
She thinks I'm a moron. She thinks that I can't set an alarm. Okay,
yeah.
well here, let me continue the story, and you guys can give me a judgment call on this one. Okay. So I tell her, no, I've got an alarm. Don't worry about it. And I set an alarm, and I set the alarm for 7:45 because all the kid has to do is put on his hockey equipment because he can't even dress before the game with what's going on. He's got to show up in his equipment.
Right.
So I'm like, he's going to throw on his stuff. All he's got to do is rub the sleep out of his eyes. I'll give him a granola bar in a car. He can't eat very much or he's going to get sick. 45 minutes before I have to leave the house is the earliest I need to wake up for this, right?
Okay.
I go to bed, and as I come out of my sleep,
you're drunk in sleep.
Yeah, I had a few last night. As I come out of this fog that is the sleep that I'm in, the first words I'm hearing is, "Chris, what time did you set your alarm for?" It's 7:15, and she is making sure I wasn't too stupid.
Yeah.
And I go 7:45.
Fair. Okay.
I go, "What time is it?" She goes, 7:15.
Yeah.
I said, "You woke me up a half hour early to ask me what time I was getting up?" And she goes, "Well, I've been up for the last half hour because of the dog and couldn't fall back asleep."
You're up.
Okay. So that's why she woke me up.
That's unfair. Yeah.
Isn't that the most unfair thing?
It's like throwing something at your head, and you're like, "What?" And you're like, "Oh, you're up, sleepyhead."
That's exactly what happened. She went
you.
The dog woke her up. She went and took care of the dog. She climbed back into the bed, and after 20 minutes of staring at the ceiling or trying to fall back asleep and not being able to fall asleep, figured, I'll just wake this ass up. And that's what she did. That isn't taking care of me.
No, that's rude.
Right, that's rude.
I don't wake everybody up when I get up for work during the week,
That's pretty rude, man. There's a big difference, too, on a Saturday morning between 7:15 and 7:45. You know this.
I've got toddlers. I haven't seen the other end of 6 a.m. in a while.
Mike has older kids like me.
Nope. I still got a younger one. He's up at like 6:30 still.
Yeah, but he's not coming and pulling on your arm. He is?
Yeah.
Start locking the door, man.
Yeah.
My youngest kid
and then they start banging. I'd rather pull on the arm.
My youngest kid is 5. I don't wake up when he wakes up. It doesn't matter when he wakes up. Nobody pays any attention to him. Yeah, he could be using the stove at 6:30 in the morning. Nobody cares.
Yeah, closet baby.
Nobody cares. I know, we stored him in a closet when he was younger. But I mean, nobody cares. Nobody cares what he does in the morning. He's the third child. So yes, I normally get to sleep in on my weekends.
Right, until the fire alarm goes off with him.
That's what the fire alarm is there for.
That's your alarm.
A pitcher of beer, a pitcher of beer. Let's order another pitcher of beer. That pitcher of beer should come over here. I love that pitcher of beer.
One of the most fun places to hang out on the South Side. Like, you want to sit amongst big giant barrels that used to contain alcohol and now they're tables. If you want to sit around and have some craft beer in Blue Island, go to Blue Island Beer Company. And Alan Cromwell sitting here with me. He's a good friend of the show. How are you, Al?
Great, Chris.
Tell me a little bit about this beer. You just gave me an IPA. You were like, try this IPA. This is what we're going to sit down and drink today.
Chris, actually, I gave you an India Pale Lager that we did with our friends at Route 66 Old School Brewing.
Oh, this is an IPL.
Yeah. So it is made with a lager yeast. Some of the malt bill will be similar to an IPA, and then some of the dry hopping that we did to it to kind of make it fun and colorful like an IPA will be recognizable, but it's really a lager.
Okay, so explain this to me, because I'm beer stupid sometimes. IPA, the way that I understand that is, it's a style of beer that's because they had to over-hop the beer to get it from England to India without it going flat. So it's a hoppier beer is what it is. Like, that's the basics. I know it's much more intricate. I know you're looking at me like I'm crazy, but that's the basics of the whole thing. So why would you do an India Pale Lager? Like, explain what that is.
You know, a lot of people since 2004 really came to enjoy the IPAs that we have now. And they became really over-hopped and big floral, bodacious beers that people are used to drinking. But you can do more with beer, adding the lager yeast to it. It adds just a little extra fun to it, the dry hopping part of it, which is really what gives you a little bit more colorful flavor to it.
My first impression drinking it is, I like IPAs, but I also like the bite that an IPA gives me. This beer is smoother. This beer is something that I might be able to pass off to, say, my wife, who doesn't like IPAs, and she would still try it and be like, I kind of dig that, because it's similar to an IPA in terms of the way that it tastes, but it doesn't have the bite of an India Pale Ale.
You'd be correct. There's really good notes to it that I think everybody can enjoy.
What's Blue Island Beer Company going to be doing in the later part of the spring here and into the summer? I know you're doing a lot of, like, bands are showing up here and hanging out. You're doing a lot of outdoor stuff, but I mean, like, what's it look like for you right now? I know you love planning events, and you got to be itching now as people are getting vaccinated to start doing big events.
We are starting to host our tailgate events back here in the summer. We started that off last fall, and we have a bunch of other cool stuff that people can start making plans on their calendar for when we start to post those shows.
You are one of the founding members of the Dixie Highway Brewery Trail. Tell me a little bit about the second anniversary and what the plans are for the Dixie Highway Brewery Trail.
So yeah, to celebrate the second anniversary of the Dixie Highway Brewery Trail, we had every brewery, all 8 of us, one of them being a distillery, make some specialty beers. Some of us had beers in cans that we made specialty 4-packs that are available for people to purchase. We had some giveaways and a chance for people to start being trailblazers again up and down the trail.
You want to do a trail with me? Like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, we just did a bar on the trail for, like, the next 8 weeks? Just me and you, and we just jumped on the trail, me and you, and just went to one place, got blottoed, and, like, did a really crazy segment on Southside Pod?
Chris, the only way I'm doing the trail with you if you get a limo, and preferably a PT Cruiser limo, that there's room just for the 2 of us in it.
Nice. Okay, I'll get to work on that. That's Alan Cromwell, Blue Island Beer Company. I like to call it Bibco. And give everybody the address real quick.
13357 Old Western Avenue here in Blue Island, Illinois.
It is now time for your Southside Pod Word on the Street. Worth Township is going to be holding an emergency food distribution event, and it's going to be on Wednesday, May the 5th, from 2 p.m. until everything ends. They are going to be handing out food boxes, first come, first serve, until supplies run out in the parking lot of the Township Hall, 11601 South Pulaski Road in Alsip. Meat, produce, and dairy will be distributed to those in need. Meanwhile, out of Palos over at Stagg High School, the girls' varsity golf team is calling on the community to help them raise some funds for the team while they help out people in need. From now through May 21st, the team is collecting donations of new and almost new shoes at a drop box, North Doors, Stagg High School. They're looking for athletic, casual, kids, flats, dress, boots, sandals, plastic cleats, all kinds of shoes. The shoes will be used to help people in need in Central and South America, as well as on the continent of Africa. In Evergreen Park, Illinois, the Village of Evergreen Park and Evergreen Park Pharmacy are making it very simple for their residents to get COVID-19 vaccinations. They have the Moderna shot at the pharmacy located on the first floor of the Mary Potter Pavilion at Little Company of Mary Hospital. There's online registration, but seniors and others without internet access can call the Village of Evergreen Park directly on a vaccine hotline and leave a message with their name and phone number, and Village staff will help them set up their appointment. 708-229-3341. Next week, Southside Pod is going to stop by Evil Horse Brewing Company at the very end of the Dixie Highway Brewery Trail. They're celebrating 5 years as a brewery. But ahead on this show, speaking of Evergreen Park there a moment ago, we're going to talk to the head coach of their high school football program to get a sense of what it was like playing a spring schedule now that all the high school football teams in the area have completed their very odd and very unique spring football season. Coach Jerry Verdi joins us in just a few minutes right here on Southside Pod. Found everywhere podcasts can be found and always at southsidepod.com. Hey gang, ever wonder what it's like to be a small business owner? It's confusing, weird expenses coming out of nowhere, and when you throw in health insurance, forget it. Nobody understands how that works. If you own a business, big or small, it's one of the biggest expenses you have all year long. And yet, we all wait until open enrollment at the end of the year, and then we think to ourselves, next year I'll get a jump on it. And then it's another year of paying way too much. If you're a business owner, big or small, HR representative that wants to impress the boss, give Butch Zemar of Elite Benefits of America a call. Save yourself or your boss thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars a year. Reach out to Butch right now, 708-535-3006, or shoot him an email, butch@elitebenefits.net. And be sure to check out the Zemar podcast. Don't wait till the last minute. Put Butch Zemar to work for you now. I'm lining up beers for a bill tonight.
Why?
Because I gave you a beer and we talked for 5 minutes and you asked for another beer.
Right.
And so I gave you 2. And because you need an opener for that beer, I just opened them both. So I don't care how you drink them. Drink one at a time,
minutes.
drink them both at a
You
time,
give me in a
switch
glass
them off,
like I'm
whatever
some
you
kind
want
of
to do.
fancy person.
Yeah, well, I try to give people glasses when they sit at the bar.
This isn't the Ritz Carlton.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is what everybody gives me for gifts. Father's Day, I get a glass. Yep. Birthdays, I get glasses. Okay, Christmas, barware, glasses. Everybody knows I have a bar in my basement. You know how many pint glasses I have?
Everyone knows you're an alcoholic. There's a difference.
Alcoholics
I have a bar in my basement. I have never gotten a glass for a gift.
Listen,
ever.
Alcoholics drink out of the same glass for 4 straight days.
Go to meetings. That's what you mean to say.
Jerry Verdi is the head coach of Evergreen Park High School football, and he and pretty much every school on the south side of Chicago, every high school, just completed the first ever, I believe, spring football season because of the COVID-19 pandemic. They got 6 games in, no playoffs. I want to talk to him a little bit about it, find out what it was like, such a unique thing. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing fine.
So you get all 6 games in, which is awesome. You and I have talked about this already, that it was a rarity for a high school team on the south side of Chicago to get to play all 6 of their games because somebody gets sick, you get all of a sudden some COVID protocols, and now all of a sudden the game is canceled. How fortunate do you feel that you were able to get all 6 in?
Well, extremely fortunate. We were in a situation where if even one of your players got a positive COVID, test back, then you were shut down for 10 days. And most of the time that wasn't just one game. You're talking about 2 games. And, that's rough, just to lose a third of a season, based on something that happens to one individual. And it was rough. I talked to some coaches that lived through that. I talked to one coach that missed their first 2 games, week 1 and 2, and then that put them behind. By the time they got out and started practice again for week 3, they were playing against teams that had already played 2 games, and now you're really behind. So the dynamic for each program, in the state, I'm sure was different. We were very lucky to be able to play, all our games, and while we did deal with a few injury situations, particularly later in the season, we still feel very blessed to be able to spend the time that we did with our players.
When you think about another class that'll be coming in here, and grammar school football didn't really happen. There were some other leagues, though, that kind of sprouted up, and I know a lot of people that had kids that were in the 7th and 8th grade, and if they couldn't play for, let's say, their grammar school, their middle school, they went and they played in these other leagues that were around the South Side. Is that going to be strange to have some kids coming in that have played and some kids that haven't played in over a year that are going to be joining your program next year?
You know, it is. We're very fortunate. The Evergreen Park Stallions are one of the best youth programs, in the entire Chicagoland area, and that's really not even debatable. They've got a wonderful program, great coaches, and they make the game special. And the fact that they lost their season, I mean, obviously it hurts. It hurts those 8th grade, both football players and cheerleaders who missed out on that experience. And yeah, they're going to be a little bit behind, but I think most young people are. Most of them did lose out on that. Now, there were some situations where some of the skill kids joined something that like a boom, a 7-on-7 type of team, and I did hear about some travel teams that were put together that played some games out of state. But that's definitely the exception to the rule, for these situations. Most of the kids coming in as freshmen next year will all be in the same boat. They'll have missed, and it's going to be a little bit of a slower process. Really, really focusing on fundamentals, which you do anyways on the freshman level. We talk about the 3 F's for freshman football: fundamentals, fun, and you hope they go 500. But everyone's going to be in the same boat, and it's going to be a much slower path for them to be ready for their first freshman game. But we look forward to it. We know about some of the kids that are coming in, and we think we'll be in a pretty good situation.
Head coach Jerry Verdi of Evergreen Park High School football. Before I let you go, you're one of many, many high school football coaches that had to deal with a very, very different season and no postseason and playing in the spring and different restrictions and all these things. But kind of put a bow on it for me and to everybody that's listening, and explain how important was it that you guys were able to actually get out there and get these kids out there and have them play some semblance of a season this year?
Well, it's immensely important. Not only from just the physical aspect of so many young people, and that's why I do applaud the IHSA for trying to get all the seasons in, because so many of our young people in the state have been inactive, physically inactive. And as we all know, that not only hurts a young person physically, but it also hurts them mentally. And the fact that we're able to get the kids, involved in something that's bigger than themselves, where they can be in a team setting, where we could get the physical and the mental, and for the 6 weeks we had of games and the 3 weeks we had to prepare and the little bit of training we did, let's just say we had them for 2.5 months, for them to have that purpose for 2.5 months, where it wasn't just watching the news and getting the COVID numbers and things like that, I think it was immensely important. And I know that they'll appreciate it. They might not even appreciate it as much right now, but 10 years down the line, they'll be like, hey, at least we got to play. At least we got to do something. And it was just important for all the coaches that were involved. We were looking forward to being able to work with these seniors one last time. And that goes for not just football, but all the other sports that are getting in these shortened seasons and just trying to, be active. So, all the time we spent was indeed a blessing, and we all have the memories that moving forward that come from that.
Coach, I appreciate you jumping on with us and sharing your feelings, and I look forward to what I believe will be a much more normal schedule for you guys in the fall, and I hope you'll come back and join us when that happens.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, come on, baby, don't you want to go? Well, come on, baby, don't you want to go back to that same old place on your dial? It's the South Side. Well, tune in appreciate you. We hope you appreciate us. On the South Side Pie.
You know, I had to have a little bit of an intervention for my 13-year-old son the other day.
Oh, he's starting.
Oh, boy.
No. Look, yeah.
I wonder where he learned it, Dad.
There used to be doors on that entertainment center over there.
Okay.
And the other night, I'm sitting upstairs, and I hear a weird noise in the basement. And then I hear somebody going, oh no, like in this absolute panic, like panic thing.
Was his girlfriend down here with him?
No. No, he don't have one of those. He don't have one of those yet, okay? He don't have enough game to get one of those. Not this kid. He's sitting down here playing video games, and he gets so frustrated with the video game.
Oh, yeah.
What he did is he broke the door off of the entertainment center.
You don't want to break the controller anymore.
Yeah,
They're
you can't
expensive.
do it. Yeah, it's like $60.
Nintendo
now.
controllers were like $9.
The
These new things are
entertainment
like-
center is more expensive than the controller.
But you can still play video games.
Yeah.
It's not. You don't have to buy a new entertainment center.
I come down the stairs, and he's standing there, and it's a door. It's a wood entertainment center. Like, this is like a real.
This is not an
wood.
IKEA.
Yeah, this is not
pressed
no,
plywood.
I didn't put this together with the weird little wrench that
Right.
shows up. That's one-time use with this. Like, this was actually delivered the way it was as a piece of furniture. And it has these
Mahogany.
beveled glass doors
Not
that are on the
anymore.
thing. No, not anymore. Because
I don't
when I
see
get
any
down
glass. Do
here,
you see any glass?
the hinges are still on
Oh, nice.
and part of the frame. But then the glass and the other 3/4 of the frame that goes around the glass is laying in one piece on the ground. As if it has been ripped off by the Incredible Hulk.
Right.
And I'm standing there and I go, what happened? He goes, it just fell apart.
Fell off, Dad.
It just fell off
I
like
didn't
that.
do it.
I was
It just-
playing, and then I got second place in Fortnite, and the thing fell off.
And it just disintegrated. And I'm like, and I just did one of those things. Like as it was going on, I was thinking to myself, like, oh, now this is what it's like to be on the other side of this as a father. Because I've been on his side where I was
Sure.
petrified when I did something really stupid.
Right.
And now I'm dad. And the first thing running through my head is like, don't kill him.
Right.
Like, if you kill him, that'll be trouble for you.
Sure.
You have to come short of killing him. Okay? He's an idiot.
Right.
You need to deal with it. But at this point, screaming and yelling is going to not make your point.
No.
As much as cold dad anger. So I just look at him and I go,
You should break his favorite thing.
just
right in front of him.
Just fell off, huh? He goes, yeah. And so I walk over into the real calm, like looking at the thing, right? Like I observe the door.
Right.
And you could see him sweating over there because he's like, I
He's
don't
gonna
know.
know
You think
he's
think
gonna know
gonna
it
buy
just didn't fall off.
Think he's going to buy it? Think he's going to buy it?
In his head, that was a legitimate story.
Yeah.
Like when you went over to look at it, he's like, holy shit, he's buying this. keep
then
up the story.
Then I call him over. I do the little finger thing. I'm like, come here. Come on over here real close. And
That's
he's like
the
nervous.
the
and
finger
I go,
thing,
I
man.
want to show you something here. This is wood. This is like real, like actual wood. This isn't some
Came from
kind
a
of
tree and everything.
composite thing. I said, as you can see here, there were 3 different pieces of wood that were part of this door. 2 of them are running in this direction, and the other one's grain was like this. And by looking at it, I could see that somebody essentially, I would say, grabbed the handle and forcefully pulled upward. And the moment I said that, like, he knew he was
It
done.
was done, right?
He was like, oh, he's a forensic scientist now. He's figured out exactly what's happened. But he's still trying to stick to his story. He's like, I closed. I might have been a little angry,
Right.
but I mean, not enough for the door to fall
like
off.
the murderer, like all of a sudden he went from I didn't kill her to I didn't mean to kill her.
Right. I mean, it just kind of happened. Like everything was fine, and
Right.
then all of a sudden, just like
He's plea bargaining.
Right, that's what he's
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
And I told him, I said, I want you to take a deep breath.
Wasn't premeditated.
I want you to take a deep breath, and then I want you to think really hard about what the next thing is that should come out of your mouth, because it shouldn't be anything else except for the absolute truth. And he just looks at me and he goes, I got angry at the video game and I ripped the door off. I said, you understand now that if you would have broken a controller, you would have just paid $50, right?
Sure.
But because of this, and this being much more expensive, you will work this off. It will take all summer.
Oh no.
It will be a fence that needs to be painted in the backyard, and the garage needs
You're
painting in
gonna
the
Tom Sawyer
backyard.
him?
And this kid
Or
works
Huck
for
Finn did it, right?
Yeah.
Not
this
Tom
kid
Sawyer.
works
Huck
for
Finn,
me
yeah.
now. That's what he does. He works for me.
Love it.
His first task the next morning, because I left it there.
You're gonna be our bartender
His
tonight?
first task the next morning was to take the other doors off, okay, and make everything look nice that was in there. And then I had him like all day the next day. It was just manual labor. I'm like, oh, remember like last summer when Dad was getting up all those rocks out of the garden and I didn't know what to do with them? I want you to move that pile from over here to over here. It looks better.
And then when you're done, move it back.
It is now time for your South Side Sound Check. Live music is back at many venues. Check out these. In Crete, Illinois, the 5th anniversary of Evil Horse Brewing Company will be happening all weekend long with live music available and all kinds of new beers being tapped. We're going to be covering it. Look for Southside Pod there. And when I say look for Southside Pod, look for a dude running around with a microphone trying to get free beer and talking to strangers. On Saturday, May 1st, Beer Garden opens at noon, tap room at 2, and Brother George barbecue truck shows up at 3 p.m. to start feeding people. And Bruce and Paul from Led Zeppelin 2 perform at 7:30. On Sunday, the Beer Garden at noon again with the tap room open as well at noon, an artisan craft fair for most of the day, and Tone Capone's taco truck from noon until 4. Open mic will be there starting at 5 p.m. with local artists. Meanwhile, another location on the Dixie Highway Brewery Trail, Blue Island Beer Company. They have live bluegrass and Americana music with Steve and Tracy this Friday night, the 30th of April. Call and leave a message about your event at 708-459-8406, 24/7, 365 days a year. That's your sound check. This is Southside Pod.
Are you thirsty for change?
Yeah.
Then pop open a frosty Idiot Parade Pop.
Hey, cool. Ugh. This is horrible.
Yes, that's right. Idiot Parade Pop has 200 milligrams of sodium per 12-ounce can and also comes in Tabasco flavor.
Oh my god, my throat's burning. My mouth is all dry.
Why not have another can?
Ugh.
Here, have another.
Oh my, this sucks.
That's right, the more you drink, the more you want to drink. It's a beautiful situation. Idiot Parade Pop. Obey me.
Back at the Blue Island Beer Company, and I'm going to tell you something right now. You run into interesting folks while you're sitting out here amongst the barrels that are the beer garden in the parking lot. Next to the cars, they zoom over the bridge and drink good beer. And Kevin's sitting here next to me. Kevin Bluen, you were telling me a really interesting thing. You were telling me that you and your wife were about to start a business in April of last year, right here in Blue Island. And then, of course, the world went upside down, and you're doing this whole thing online. Tell me a little bit about this thing, because people might want to know about it, because it sounds like it's starting to blow up online, huh?
It is. The name of the business is Veda Winter, named after our youngest daughter, who was a shocking surprise. And
Aren't all kids a shocking surprise? Like, even the ones you plan on, when they come out, you're like, oh, that's not what I expected.
it's actually my wife's business. I'm a gopher. And now we had to ebb and flow with the coronavirus, which doubled up on the inventory, quadrupled up on the inventory because it's all online. It's a whole different animal. So now our place that we wanted to have the brick and mortar is now outgrown because it was turned into a warehouse. We are now warehousing elsewhere. And now Amber's doing all live sales from the brick and mortar that we intended on being the shop. And now it's growing.
So essentially, you were going to be a Blockbuster, but you turned into an early version of Netflix before the streaming, and now you're trying to figure out how do you become like Netflix of the future, where you have like a storefront, but you're still doing things online. It sounds to me like this is going to explode. Tell people a little bit about what exactly you sell and how they can find the products so that they're able to check it out themselves.
So the products can be found at vedawinter.com or on the app, which can be found in the Apple Store and Instagram, Facebook, all the good stuff. It's all women's clothing, so I'm probably not the best.
Is this like hip women's clothing? Is this sexy women's clothing? Is this Amish women's clothing? What kind of
as sexy as I'm trying to steer it, but they don't listen.
You want it to be sexier.
Yeah, they don't listen to me, but that's okay. Very fashionable, trendy, boho chic is what I would be told to call it. Boho bougie pajama chic.
We're getting boho bougie pajama chic in Blue Island. Who would have thought? Oh my goodness, the founding fathers of Blue Island are turning over in their graves.
Thank you for listening. to see what's happening on the Southside Pod. On the Southside Pod. Join us again and be sure to tell a friend about the Southside Pod. About the Southside Pod. All things about the neighborhood we live in. All things about the places that we go. It's the best side of Chicago, the South Side Pod.
Mike's penis is on the microphone here to start the show. Because I gotta.
Welcome back to Penis Talk.
I gotta.
The only podcast for penises, 5 penises.
I got an extra mic here now up at the bar, so he can, when he plays his guitar, he doesn't have to readjust anything.
And you have that
and
at waist guitar level.
It's right at waist guitar level.
Yeah.
He sits on the bar stool, and he for some reason he thought that I wanted to talk to his penis.
I mean, everybody does.
What would
so,
it say?
You know?
If Mike's penis could talk, what would it say?
Mike's penis. I'm so lonely. Kill me.
If Mike's penis had a smaller guitar that it could play, it would also be bad.
And that's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.